Okay. First and foremost, thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. This is the first SAC Stakeholder Advisory Committee meeting for Region 4. My name is Eric Ketterling. I am the Senior Planner in the Long Range Planning Division. Again, thank you for coming, and we can begin. So before we get too far into this, I would just like to have a couple of housekeeping notes for everybody in attendance and viewing. Tonight's meeting is going to be recorded and posted on our website. You can visit that website at aacounty.org/region4. That'll take you directly to the hub website for Region 4, and it will also be put on the Anne Arundel County's website. For the members of the public who have joined us, please note that the chat icon in the chat is not monitored, but the comments will be made recorded and recorded for consideration. If you have further questions or would like an answer to your question, please feel free to email me or any member of the SAC, and those email addresses will be shown momentarily. And as far as that goes, I'd like to introduce Ann Flixton. She is the chair for this committee, and she will introduce the agenda for tonight's meeting before we get into the introductions. So Ann?
Okay, before the introductions, we need to have a vote on the agenda, and I hope everybody has seen the agenda, or at least saw it at some point. Can I hear how many people want to allow the agenda to go forward? How many yays? Just maybe.
Yays.
Yay.
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 How many nays? Well, that was easy. Okay. I think we've got the agenda approved. So
Can we advance the slide, please?
I'm sorry.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
you said maybe that's a sign?
No, advance the slide. Sorry. So,
Oh, you're not talking to me. Okay.
no. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, committee. So here are your members of the SAC and the email addresses. As you know, Ann is our chair, and our vice chair is Michael. Michael, if you'd like to say a word or two, just to show so everybody can know who you are.
Good evening, everyone. Michael O'Leary, over in Millersville. Look forward to working with you guys over the next several months, I guess.
All right, thank you, Michael. Now in attendance with me, as I mentioned earlier, I am a senior planner in the Long Range Planning Division. Tonight, we have a couple members of our planning division to help me, and they're all stars of the team. So first, I'd like to introduce Jesse. Jesse, if you want to say a couple words.
Sorry about that. I couldn't figure out where my microphone was with all my screens. Hi, I'm Jessie. I'm our planner 1 on the long range planning team, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you tonight.
Thanks, Jesse. And then we also have Lorenzo. Lorenzo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lorenzo Mastino, senior planner, and I'm excited to working with you tonight. I'm mostly going to be on minute keeping duties, so I'll quietly type.
Thanks, Lorenzo. Christina.
Hello, everybody. Christina Pompa. I am a deputy planning and zoning officer, and I oversee the planning division.
And then I think I saw Cindy in here earlier. Cindy.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for volunteering. I am Cindy Carrier, and I'm the planning administrator for the long range planning section.
All right, thank you, everybody. So that's the staff with us tonight, as well as the SAC. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Next slide, please. So first and foremost, for the SAC members, this meeting is going to be, for everybody here, this meeting is going to be much more functional rather than a policy tonight. This is going to be a lot of like SAC kind of housekeeping duties, making sure everyone can access certain materials, education materials, stuff to that nature. We're not really going to get into any deep topics about transportation or land use or anything like that tonight. This is more of just of us kind of getting together understanding the roles, responsibilities, making sure we all have access to the same documents tonight. So that being said, everyone, all the SAC members should have been given access to the email, the Google Gmail account, as well as a Google Drive account. If you are having issues connecting or signing in, please feel free to reach out to me and I will set up time with you to walk you through via Zoom or a phone call or whatever you need, because this is very important moving forward, and communication will be sent to your Gmail accounts that we created for you. In addition,
You're
yeah.
going to introduce us to the rest of this team, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, absolutely. So, Anne, if you want to go ahead, or if you want to back up a slide for me, thank you. So, Bo, if you'd like to say a couple words.
Yep, Bo Breeden here, live down in Cape St. Clair. Good to see you all again. Looking forward to get this on the road.
Thank you, Bo. Emma?
Hi, everyone. Emma Buckman. I live in Smyrna Park behind the shopping center with Kohl's and Giant, if you know where that is. And like Bo, really excited to collaborate with you guys.
All of a sudden, I can't hear you, Eric. What's the sign for when you can't hear somebody? Is this the old-fashioned way?
Is that, can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. So is Lauren Burns here tonight? No. Anne, would you like to say a couple words? Anything else?
Well, do we have other members on here? We have a few more, don't we?
Yeah, I'm going down the list. So
Oh,
I wondered if you wanted
fine.
to.
Oh, fine. No, thank you.
Uh,
Want to remember
Josh,
names.
Josh Fornwalt? All right. How about Melissa Hagan?
Hi, everybody. I live between Route 50 and the Naval Academy Bridge in the Meadows, and I'm really interested to see what happens with this group and looking forward to it.
Thanks, Melissa. Kevin Haynes? Kevin, are you there? Okay. How about Tom Hampton?
Hello, everyone. I've lived in this region for 60 years, and I'm really excited to be a part of this. And I'm really curious to see how we're going to approach it in terms of the different segments of Region 4, because there are really so many differences between them. So anyway, turn it back to you guys.
Thanks, Tom. Ben Hillard?
This is Ben Hilliard. I'm on the northwest section, I guess, of Arundel. I have my video off because I might have family members walking through and talking through. So thank you. I look forward to everything.
Thanks, Ben. Steve Miller?
Yeah, and I'm going to try and get this name changed before the end of this meeting. But I live over on the Broadneck Peninsula. And Eric, I'd just like to say that I think you and your team did a super job getting us ready for this first meeting with all the administrative setups that you did. Thank you very much.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming. Michael spoke a minute ago. Anything else you want to say? If not,
Yep.
Shayla Powers, did she join us tonight? Is she able to join us? No. Walter Reeder?
Good evening, everyone. Walter Ryder here. I live in Severna Park and really looking forward to the process and being engaged. And I hope my ethics training thing got entered And I'm really surprised about that $10 gift card question, but you know, that's looking forward to getting some great work done here.
Thank you, Walter. Holly Slack.
Hey everyone, I'm Holly Slack. I'm from Severna Park on the Greater Severna Park Council, and I am navigating bedtime at the moment too. So, but it'll just be a little bit longer, but I'm here.
Oh, thank you, Holly. Appreciate it. And then John Spencer.
Hi, I'm John Spencer. I'm also amazingly with the High Point Improvement Association. I'm sorry about that name. I've tried 2 approaches while you all were talking and neither one works. So anyway, I am in Pasadena between Stony Creek and Rock Creek, the classic Pasadena.
Well, thanks, John. So thank you, everybody, again. That is your SAC. And if you have any, if the public has any questions, or if you guys need each other's emails, it's right here in front of you for your guys' convenience. Again, this meeting will be posted online. So once we get it uploaded, we'll be sure to be able to make it accessible for everybody. Next slide, please. Thank you. So yeah, back to the Gmail and Google Drives. Again, if you have any questions about this, let me know, contact me, and I will do the best I can. I've helped a couple people already, but if you have any other further questions, or if we want to do maybe a couple of group sessions to help with this, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to make sure we all have access to this. Oh, and by the way, if anybody has any questions at any time, please just go ahead and interrupt me. For the members of the SAC, if any member of the SAC has a question, just speak up and I'll be sure to get to you. At the end of the meeting, we should be able to have some time for a public comment if people from the public want to speak as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just a quick reminder for all the SAC members, please complete your ethics training. Upload the certificate you get at the end to the folder on the drive. If you have any questions about that, again, please reach out to me. Same thing for your open meeting training. Please finish that as soon as you can. I will be giving you I'll be giving you a time later on in this meeting. I believe it's February 7th. We will need all this required documents from you just to make sure we have everything in line. And then finally, most of you have already done this, but if you have not already, please submit your bio for the hub site. I think there's only a couple of you left that have not submitted it. We just want to make sure that that's all pretty, looks good, and good to go. And so again, here's the hub site. Please share this with your community members. Please share this with anybody and everybody you talk to. If it's the cashier, the grocery store, to your church, your HOA, whoever, just make sure everybody can really have access to this. This is where all the updates, all of the presentations, the meetings will go. So this is our way of being as open and as transparent as we can be to the members of the public. This is also where we will have different surveys. There's actually a survey on there right now. So please get as many people as you can to help fill that out. We will be also doing a feedback map in the near future. And this is going to be a vital key tool to gain public input, especially given the pandemic and the uncertainty of meeting spaces in a physical setting. This is going to be a very vital tunnel for future data and documentation. Again, so our next meeting, I sent out a Google form late last week to kind of understand better timeframes. I understand there's Monday issues with certain individuals, and the third week of the month appears to be very busy for a lot of individuals. So if you can, fill out the Google form to really be able to help us create a time that works for everybody. If it's Monday at 8 a.m. or Friday at 8 p.m., let me know. And that Google form will really kind of help be able to help guide us in our future discussions. And again, as I mentioned a minute ago, for the foreseeable future, it's going to be a virtual format. Whenever that kind of changes from the county standpoint, we can absolutely discuss and see what everybody's comfortable with moving forward. So future topic meeting and future topic meetings and the timeline of these meetings, we're going to meet about every 3 weeks or so. In the form I sent out, there's a question that asks, would you rather meet every 3 weeks or once a month? And then maybe a couple months where we meet twice. So if typically we're going to be looking at that kind of schedule. And that'll be most of your time commitment for the next year or so. When we get to the PAB and the council meetings, we're going to ask you also to help out with that as well, to give testimony, to really help make sure these plans get passed and move forward. We don't want to put all this time and effort in just to have a couple pieces of paper sit on a shelf for the next 20 years. This is something that we really want to work hand holding together from start to finish. So we cannot do that without you guys. And I'll talk more about the schedule a little bit later on, but the future meeting topics are listed here. So this will be how we will, the topics we will cover in the future. And like I said a second ago, I'll discuss this more a little bit, but essentially each of these topics, we're going to have a specific presentation for the economy and public health and how it relates to Region 4. Same thing for transportation, environment, et cetera. And we'll be able to really have discussion about that certain topic in that certain meeting. So that'll be a meeting specific topic. Next slide, please. So another piece of item that you should have received as the SAC that's also available to the members of the public is the SAC Handbook. This is basically a very good quick reference guide for the region plan. Regions 2, 4, and 7 have kicked off. We're all using this right now, and the other regions will be using this when they kick off as well. This is a very good document. It's about 10 to 12 pages, I believe, that really kind of shows the more about the region plan, the scope of the plan, and the goals of the region plan as a whole. Answers general questions, gives an overview of the overall process, and just kind of shows different aspects of how the county can manage this plan and how the master plans get approved. And I've included the website at the bottom of the slide, and it's also on our hub site as well. So one of the biggest pieces of information that we need to really review and look at is this. It's the consensus continuum, and we want to make sure everyone's had a chance to review this. This is a suggested resource for developing consensus around decisions. Moving forward, we all know that there are going to be difficult conversations and conversations that we all may not agree upon. And we have completely opposing views, but that's not a bad thing. That's why we're coming here to represent our communities and really understand and create a region plan for the future. So this is a kind of a self-reflective tool that makes us aware of other positions that aren't always black and white, yes or no, left or right kind of thing. So being aware of where people stand will really kind of help the community move forward. And we can dig deeper on certain topics when and where needed. This is really as a tool to help with active listening and it could create productive conversation and discussion. Because without those two pieces of information, the creation of this document will be much more difficult. And so within that continuum and within the SAC charter, there were a couple guiding principles that we had. As you can see, this is kind of this is what has kind of guided us to make sure we have a successful document for the future and make sure we work successfully together with one another. We may not always see eye to eye and we may not always get along, but if we can follow these guiding principles, we can make sure that this is a very well and productive, not only meeting, but a whole overall plan. These principles have really been updated slightly from what led Plan 2040. They align with the values that we strive for within the planning department. And we wanted to give you an opportunity now to maybe add, clarify, or ask any questions about any of these principles that you may have. And if there's no questions, we can continue moving on. This was just an important piece of the charter that we wanted to bring up to you to make sure that we can understand this moving forward. And this is something good to review prior to every meeting, just to make sure we are doing our due diligence as an SAC member and county staff to make sure that we are being fair and responsible with one another. Next slide, please. So one other key piece of information within the charter is on section 3.1. As I mentioned earlier, there will be opportunity for the public to speak at these SAC meetings, but these SAC meetings are really designed for SAC work sessions. These are designed for the U15 members to really kind of understand, grasp, and work through certain topical issues. And with that being said, we will give you information, maybe a little bit of homework, a couple weeks in advance prior to your next meeting. And even though these are designed for you, the chair will provide opportunity to allow for public input at certain times defined by the chair. So public will be allowed to attend, but it's up to the chair to allow for a public input.
I'd just like to say right at this point that I'm hoping we have time for at least 15 or 20 minutes to hear from the public. So we don't want to be here past 8 o'clock, but if we can't get through what we have to get through before we have public input, we could do it. We could have the public next time, but I'd hope we can do it same today. So.
Thanks, Ann. We're actually kind of moving ahead of schedule. So it does, depending how the next half goes, we should be able to have that, hopefully. So next slide, please. So this is the Region 4 Charter. Each of you should have taken a look at it by now. I know a few of you have signed it and submitted it, but this is one of the items tonight that we have to have a discussion and a vote on. So if there are any discussion topics or anything that people saw while reading through it, this is the opportunity for discussion. If Ann would like to open that up.
Well, it is a fairly detailed charter. I think some of the things I liked is that we're going to try to be reaching consensus. That's not always possible, but I think it often is possible, particularly with the items of respect and listening to each other and agreeing to disagree, but we may be able to get close to a consensus, if not get there. I just want to say at this point that I can't stress enough how much your being on this group will guide how many people out in the community learn about it. At your community associations, your church, your neighborhood, groups that you're in. This is not everybody's cup of tea, and it may be too early to expect a lot of people to listen in, but the whole point of this is to make it a community vision, a community plan, and if we don't have real input from the community. So I just want to push that before we talk further. Does anybody else have any comments on the charter?
Do you need a motion to approve the charter as presented?
Yes, we do.
I so move to approve the charter as presented for Region 4.
Is there a second?
And this is Steve
Second.
Miller, second it.
Fine. All those in favor say yay or aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay. That doesn't mean you can't bring something up about the charter later if you see something. So, but I appreciate you got through that. So Eric, where do we go next?
So yeah, if you have not done so already, please sign and upload your charter by February 7th. We have to make sure everything is in line and moving forward with all the technical homework kind of stuff. So again, February 7th, key date. And as Ann said a minute ago, if you have any questions or if you have any topics or conversation topics you'd like to talk about the charter, please feel free and we can discuss it at a future time. Next slide. So yeah, we're actually way ahead of schedule than I initially thought. I actually built in a break about halfway through the presentation. But if you want to keep on going, we can just kind of keep powering through. I would like to again reiterate, please fill out that Google form I sent out to allow for the future meeting, so we can understand the availability for future. I'm going to be sending out a date for our next meeting at the end of this, by the end of this week. So if your input is in there, that would be much appreciated. And ideally, the next meeting is going to be either the second or third week of February, I believe. So the week of the 14th or the week of the 21st. So Chair Flickstein, would you like to have a break, or would you want to keep going?
Well, I think since seems like we just got here, maybe let's keep going to make sure we have time for hear from the public.
Absolutely. Okay. Next slide, please. So a couple of documents that we have given you were the Plan 2040, Volume 1 and Volume 2, as well as the Comprehensive Planning in Maryland. I'll touch more on the Plan 2040 in a minute, but looking at the Plan 2040, this will kind of give you an idea of what product we are aiming to produce. It's not going to be nearly as thick, but it will be just as important. And this is, the regional plan is going to be a policy guide and an implementing tool.
Okay, Eric.
Lost you, Eric. You can't hear you, Eric.
He may not be able to hear us.
Yeah, it could be.
Probably not. That's why
Eric.
I'm doing this thing. Hello.
Watching. There he is.
Speak.
Are you back, Eric?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I apologize. I don't, my mic keeps cutting out, so I don't know what's going on. Where did you guys lose me?
Well,
Or I can restart the slide if you'd like, if that's easier.
I think you stopped where you said that what we produce will not be nearly as voluminous as these volumes, but what we produce will be important. And I think
Okay, perfect.
I couldn't hear after that.
So yeah, that in a sense that's exactly what I said. So yeah, I'll talk more about the Plan 2040 in the next couple slides. But comprehensive planning in Maryland, we gave you 5 modules. They're very informative. There's a lot of material there, so I understand if it was overwhelming or too much. And we can have maybe work sessions on those specifically if you guys would like, or if you have any specific questions. My email is always open. My phone number is always available. Feel free to reach out. Maybe we can set something up via that way as well. The 5 modules.
Question about the Google Drive, what we get on the Google Drive and the hub. And so are these modules not on the hub, or where are they're just on our Google Drive?
Yeah, correct. So these modules are only on the Google Drive for the SAC members at this time.
Okay.
So yeah, those modules include an introduction to planning, the comprehensive plan, growth management tools, environment, green development, housing and transportation, and Maryland's smart growth vision for the future. Ideally, if the purpose of this is to provide a foundation of land use principles, concepts, and procedures in general specific to Maryland. A lot of different states and a lot of different regions do things differently, but these modules will help kind of give a better understanding of how things done or how things are done right here at home. So again, if you have any questions or want to maybe have a little bit of a boot camp type of meeting, more than welcome to do so, and we can kind of go from there. All the regions are going to be doing this. We are the first 3 regions to go. We're one of the first 3 regions to do this. So if you guys have any ideas of how to improve this or ideas that work better than others, we are more than open to hearing any potential ideas for the next sets of region plans moving forward.
Good. So we're kind of guinea pigs. Is that what you mean?
No, but
I'm kidding.
No, we're good. We're good. No, so you guys may be getting too much homework, is what we're trying to say. We don't want to overwhelm you. So, but next slide, please. So as I said a minute ago, the region plans are one tool that really helps implement Plan 2040. Sorry, one second. So moving forward, like region plans must be consistent with the policies in the GDP in Plan 2040. The region plans will dive a little deeper into these issues and develop region-specific strategies. And one policy that's in the region plan, or one policy that's in Plan 2040 states that the region use the region plan to explore the need for additional tools to guide neighborhood development, such as area design guidelines, form-based code overlays, or urban design standards. That is policy BE3.2.B. So we're going to look at things like that. I know that's a lot of information, a lot of letters and numbers, but that is something that we're going to be evaluating policies that are specific to region plans and really kind of growing those and making sure they are region specific to region 4. And so our region may have completely different guidelines than regions 2 and 7. But at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We're here to make this as specific and as relatable to region 4 and the future of it. And so the region plans are going to be adopted by county council. And this is essentially going to be an amendment to the Plan 2040. And this is where I mentioned earlier in the meeting, this is very important that we are all here together now and we stay together through the end. And we're not just when these meetings are over, but when we start giving testimony at council, where we really need as much help from the SAC and the public as possible to really make sure these plans get approved and move forward. Next slide, please. So again, the region plans are county legislated. They're not state mandated. And we cannot conflict any information against state laws, federal laws, or anything that contradicts Plan 2040. The region plans are essentially a policy guide that helps a company for land use and zoning of the future. This is really going to set the tone for the next couple decades. So it's very important and very vital that we continue moving forward and working well with one another and having that consensus continuum and following those principles we set forward earlier in this meeting. One important information about the region plans: the plans will not address any items outside of the growth and development of infrastructure. So we're not going to be talking about pest control or any animals in your street. That's not the point of the region plan. The point of the region plan is a policy guide for a little more broad type discussion, but specific to the region. Next slide, thank you. Again, this is a graphic that's in Plan 2040. And it's a really cool graphic that kind of shows that the region plans are only going to be one little cog in the whole machine of the county, but it all works together. The other plans that are made in Parks and Rec, the capital facilities and improvement program, the management systems, all of this stuff works together and makes sure we have a smoothly operating machine of the government. And this region plan is going to fit right into this. And we are going to make sure that all of these cogs work well with one another. And that's why we can't contradict other plans or other departments when we start doing this. We have to make sure we work well and we abide by state, federal, and county laws that are existing to make sure that these plans don't obstruct what has already been done and what is being worked on now. Next slide, please. So one question is, what is the region plan? The purpose of the region plan is really to evaluate Region 4's community assets and needs, and to develop a shared vision for the next 20 years and create specific recommendations about land use, zoning, environmental protection, transportation improvements, public facilities, and community design overall. So generally think about think certain areas of your community. What is there? Do you like what's there? Do you want to change what's there? How can it be? Should we maintain it for the future? Should we improve on it in the future? Should we reevaluate the certain area? That kind of thing. Think long term. This plan is going to be around for the next couple decades. So it's not going to be a quick turnaround, but it's also not something that we're just going to gloss over either. This is something that's going to be very important for the next foreseeable future. One big key item of this plan is community engagement. We are all involved because we have some type of connection to the community. This is vital for the success of this plan. We want to make sure all the voices are heard. This is not just a plan for me. It's not a plan for Anne Arundel County government. It's not a plan for USAC. It's a plan for anybody and everybody that lives, works, and enjoys the community. So we got to keep that in mind moving forward. And we want to make sure as many people are heard throughout this process. So meetings like this, other community engagement opportunities, we're going to do as much as we can to address the economy, public health, transportation, environment, housing, public facilities, all those topical discussions that we're going to be including, discussing. And most importantly, that everybody is excited to talk about is the zoning and land use. That is going to be a key factor in our community engagement. We are going to focus different feedback maps, different surveys, different charrette activities will be focused around these topical meetings to really get as much input as possible from the community. And in a few slides from now, we actually have a quick little breakout type of activity for us to really make sure we understand who and what communities or organizations are out there to really reach out and be a part of. Next slide, please. So again, what is the region plan? It's a tool that's going to advise the county in decision-making for the next foreseeable future. The Region 4, as we know, includes the Broadneck and Lakeshore Peninsula. It is comprised of the Pasadena, Severna Park, Arnold, Gibson Island, Cape St. Clair, and Broadneck communities. You can see the outline here. It's the boundaries are the Chesapeake Bay to like Veterans Highway, Brightview Drive area. The region plan is really going to be used as a reference for informing the future zoning. Again, this is very important moving forward and making sure that everybody we have discussions that can really help the community as a whole. Next slide, please. So the region plan will aim to answer these questions. I apologize for the numbering. I don't know what happened there, but there are 9 questions here, not just one long question. These are some questions that the Office of Planning and Zoning we are going to do as staff, county staff, to help research and help drive the plans forward. Now, each of these questions, they may appear a little different from one another, but they're all kind of connected. So knowing that, we're going to really emphasize the relationship with these questions with one another to different and how it relates to different areas of the community, as well as how the region plan as a whole relates to other master plans within the county. Because again, that graphic we showed a few minutes ago, showing the different cogs in the machine, we are all working together here. Whether or not the Parks Department or the capital improvement program, region plans, this is all one big machine, and we all really are working together for the common goal of Region 4. Next slide, please. So the timing of this master plan is really, it takes time. Master plans take time. We've already gone through several months of pre-planning. We've done the kickoff in December, and we have done some background research, and you can see some of that research on the hub website. We have a lot of different demographic data, as well as some other background reports type studies that we are working to show different housing and economic data as well. Currently, we are in phase 2, the green section. This is where we are beginning to really start the community outreach, and which is why we're having our first SAC meeting here. Most of the SAC time commitments that we're going to need from you is in phase 2 and 3. But again, as I mentioned earlier, we need you throughout this entire process. We cannot do this without you. So please reach out to your community members, help us get the word out, help us get as much responses in our surveys, our feedback maps as we can possibly do. One thing that I'll discuss at the end of this presentation are the walking tours. But we are actually going to have a virtual driving tour throughout the community, and I'll get more into that in a minute. Once all this is completed, we're going to essentially begin drafting the document. We're going to be working on different analyses, draft the plan, and really have these recommendations through land use, comprehensive rezoning recommendations for the plan. And those will be discussions hopefully towards the end of this year. And then we will move on to creating the final product, give it to the PAB, the county council, and after that will be hopefully approved, and we'll get the process in law. Here's a little more detail, kind of breaking down a little bit more. So again, for the next year, we're going to be working with presentations from different county departments. In a couple of weeks or a couple months, we're going to be having the Office of Transportation give us presentation and data specific to Region 4. We'll have parks, and we'll have housing, some public health discussions. There will all be a specific presentation for Region 4 in our regular SAC meeting. We're also going to have a public forum coming up soon to help with the visioning portion of the plan. We will be doing outreach, getting input from the public on that, and then we will meet again as an SAC committee to kind of finalize and formulate a visioning statement to move forward throughout the plan. So a lot of the community outreach will be done through surveys and online input. We are working on different creative ideas to allow for different types of activities for online, not just a simple form. We want to be a little more creative than that. So we're trying to get a different kind of tactic out there. So then from fall of this year to the winter of next year, that's where we're going to be drafting everything. We're going to be finalizing the recommendations, the preliminary drafts, and get public input on that as well. And then after that, get this into legislation and get it approved. Now, that being said, this is just a rough schedule. This is a very tentative schedule. Every region may differ a little bit. We may be a little quicker. We may take a little more time on certain meetings. That's totally up to you all here. It's however you all see fit of how to move forward. We do have schedules or meetings scheduled to provide ample opportunity to speak and to discuss certain topics. But if you feel there is a certain topic that we need to kind of maybe elaborate a little bit more on, that's something that can absolutely be done. So this is not set in stone, but it is a good guiding tool moving forward. Do we have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tom Hampton. Silly question. Is there a budget for outreach?
So we are doing budget as staff. I'm doing it on my own. I'm doing it through my work time. We can work together, and we're going to talk about how different ways of how to kind of do outreach on your own time if you'd like. But there's not really a budget per se. It's part of my job and part of my responsibility to not only help work with you to create different outreach materials, but also to make sure the community, we publish that online, we get that out there, and we have different events and we have different opportunities for the public to be a part of.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding the timeline or anything related to community outreach? Steve?
Yeah, Eric, when you give these presentations, will they be oriented specifically to our region, or are they going to be the general type of briefings that were given to the CAC?
Good question. So ideally, what we're working with, we're going to work with each department, and we want to make each presentation relevant to and specific to Region 4. We're working with each department to talk about specific data for Region 4. Because yeah, and there may be comparison to the county as a whole, but we understand that Region 4 is the focus of this plan. So we want Region 4 specific data and specific topic and conversation.
And then when you give the land use briefing, will that include discussion about the land use market analysis as it pertains to Region 4?
I'm not 100% sure on the market analysis question yet. I think that's still something we're working out with, but it will, anything that we do, we're going to do our best to make sure it's specific to Region 4 and not necessarily the county as a whole.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. So this is one topic. This is something that I mentioned a minute ago about a little nice exercise to kind of get our brains working a little differently tonight. I'm going to copy and paste a link into our chat right here, and this is for anybody that's on the Zoom meeting right now, SAC member or member of the public. Feel free to participate. I will share my screen in one moment. This is where we are going to really kind of help get ideas of who's out there, who's in our community, who should we be talking to, and how should we be talking to them? Do we need paper copies of surveys? Do we need to set up stations at a library or booths at local events? In your opinion, what's the best way to get people involved? And what groups should we get involved? And are there groups that are underrepresented? Are there groups that and how do we reach those groups? So this is a cool little space where we can kind of come up with a few ideas together, provoke discussion among us, and see what we come up with to really kind of help make sure this plan involves as much community outreach as possible. And I can share my screen to show you guys a few things if you would like, if I can get this going. Okay. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay? So, so yeah, one thing to do if you have an idea of who should we talk to, who should we all talk to in Region 4? Who's in the community? And you have a really good idea that's not out here yet. There's a little button right here, the sticky note button. If you can see my screen, and it's so the fourth thing down on the left bar, right underneath the arrow, that is where you can post your ideas. That is something really interactive. You can post it up and tell us anything you want us to know. What, for example, what's a good HOA we can include in our conversations? There's no wrong answers here, so feel free to submit your own post-it note or just blurb something out and we can write it down for you, whatever you're comfortable with.
Eric, I don't know. Can you take it from everybody?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Okay.
anybody here, the SAC members, member of the public, anybody and everybody's welcome to do this right now. So
Okay, I think the Nextdoor app is very useful.
Okay.
And a lot of people use Nextdoor.
Okay. Well, feel free to put that down on a post-it note and we can.
I tried. I'll try again.
No worries, no worries. And also, please do not, accidents happen, that's understandable, but please do not delete anybody else's comment. This is something we're trying out here tonight, see how well everybody can kind of maneuver this type of technology. And we hopefully it'll work well. We can play with it for a couple days, and then we can use this in future meetings as well. And I will keep this this link live per se for the next couple of days to the end of the week on Friday, the 30th, 29th. Just so anybody else who is not available to be here tonight can participate as well. Is anybody having any issues or any troubles with the Jamboard I can help out with maybe?
I can't seem to get a one that's just plain to write on. So.
Yeah, I can't seem to get one to write on either. This is Lisa Bender.
Okay. Let's see.
Is there a button I push?
Do you see, so on the left,
fourth one
on the left, do you see that bar? And there is like a the select tool. It's kind of got a black circle around it.
Oh,
Can't use Eric's screen. You have to log in. You have to go through the link. Just make sure you guys do that.
Correct. Yeah, there is a link in the chat. If you have not clicked that link.
Oh, okay.
You got you gotta use the link, and then it will take you to your own screen that you can utilize. You can't utilize Eric's screen.
Yeah, I will stop sharing. That might be confusing a few people. Thanks, Bo.
Yeah.
So far we got the biking Facebook group, Round Bay Community Association, the Cape St. Clair Improvement Association, Meadows Homeowners Association. We got a lot of good ideas so far. So yeah, rec and school sports events. Are there any ideas of involvement you guys would like to see? I know some people do better with paper surveys. People may be more likely to answer a paper survey, or I don't know, a booth with maybe a computer at the library. I know that was already kind of on there. Just ideas like that. Anything you can think of, and you don't have to think of it right now. I'm not asking you to solve the world's problems right in the next 20 minutes or so, but if anything comes to your mind the next day or two, like I said, I'll keep this up, keep it live for the next week, and then we will take this, staff will take this down, write this up, and be sure to kind of pass this around. And we can always have this discussion. This discussion doesn't have to just end tonight or into this week. This discussion is forever going on, and it's forever changing too. And especially with the past couple of years of how the world's been operating, we have to be adaptable. So we're always open to new ideas, especially if that means reaching more people.
I still can't get anything to be able to write on. Can I do it real verbally, real quick?
Sure.
Okay, Greater Severna Park Council, the river organizations. So that would be both the Severn River Association, the Severn River Keeper, and the Magothy River, and I guess the Patapsco River. I don't know that much about that area. The Magothy River Association. And maybe something at either the college or the libraries.
One thing Lisa, I would like to say, to back up what you're saying, sometimes it's good for people who want to know other people's opinions to go to them rather than expect them to go to the library or go, somewhere else. So
Right.
If there's a big meeting or something like that, if several of us could go and maybe present or talk about it, I just think sometimes we have to use our shoe leather to get out there and talk to people too. So.
Right. I guess I was trying to think of how to get people involved and get people not.
Well, yeah, anything you can think of. I mean,
because I noticed that I'm the
darn busy.
I'm the only one here from Severn River or Greater Severna Park Council, because I read your email this afternoon. So they could be areas, particularly like the Greater Severna Park Council, and of course Elizabeth's got the Broadneck Council covered.
Well, Pat Lynch is here. She's got the Broadneck. Pat is Got
I
the
didn't see
I'm
Pat's
here.
name.
I'm Vice President Broadneck.
Cool.
Greater
Okay.
Savannah Park Council. I'm secretary.
Oh, okay, yes, that's right.
Oh, hi, Holly.
Before Lisa got on, maybe, Holly told us.
Yeah, I was on late and I can't see
Well,
anything.
How many, do we have an equal number of people from like the Pasadena area versus Severna Park? I heard a lot of Severna Park. I heard Broadneck and I heard Arnold, but I only heard, I think, one person's from Pasadena.
John,
Right.
Is
I don't know of
somebody-
anybody else on the panel that's from Pasadena.
That's a big area. So I'm just wondering.
All right, well, we got some great ideas. Again, feel free to review this, take a look at it, sleep on it for the night, a couple days. And if you think of anything else, please feel free to put your input. This is, again, a conversation we always want to keep having. We always want to keep it, involvement. We're open to new ideas, new areas, in any community that you think that, or anybody that you think we should reach out to, please let us know. And if there's a certain new way or just your favorite way of how to get involved or how to make people get involved, please put your ideas down on paper. That would really help us all out. So, and then if you want to go back to the presentation, we can kind of continue that up and wrap it up maybe soon. I think we're doing pretty well on time tonight. All right.
Eric, this is Walter. Sorry for the interruption. So what would be your recommendation for a good one pager, not a lot of words, place to point somebody to start that outreach rather than like bomb them with, hey, go to this website and see, 700 pages of stuff?
Sure, that's a great question. One thing that I would highly recommend is the hub sites. That's just, it's going to be continually updated, continually revised to reflect the data we've been working on, the surveys, anything and everything that we can kind of think of. That's where I would highly recommend you try to do your best to direct people. And another thing you can always do is just have a conversation. And if us as staff, we're open to having conversations as well. That's where we're here. We're here to make sure that we are essentially an extension of the voice of the community to make sure everybody's, their ideas are heard, people are involved, and they're actually part of this plan. No matter who you are, no matter how old you are or how young you are, this is a plan for everybody, not just me, not just you, everybody. And so, again, to answer your question, the hub site is number one, in my opinion. But then two, they can see any of these presentations, documents, all that stuff online as well.
So I have a question. This is Melissa. How, other than like the surveys, what's the official way to get people's feedback? It's one thing to have them look at everything, but then how do we, or whoever, is it just going to be the surveys and what we hear, we bring back, or how does that work?
Yeah, so yes to everything. It's going to be surveys, it's going to be feedback maps. We're going to create pretty much anything and everything we can create as county staff through different programs. We will work with the SAC county staff. We're going to be working together to create different outreach ideas and materials. But it's also part of your responsibility as an SAC member to be involved with your community, to let them know what's going on, to direct them to these types of meetings or to the website so they can kind of see what's going on and how to move forward. So we're all here together. We're all working on the same thing, and we're all working on the same direction too. I don't know if did that fully answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Anything
Eric,
else from?
Yeah, I had a thought. I was on the CAC for the Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and we ended up printing business cards for us to give out at PTO meetings, which actually were pretty effective. So would you think about giving us business cards, maybe with a QR code that has the hub site on it, so we could just get it and they could look at it with their phone and go right to that hub site?
So yeah, we've kind of talked as staff internally. We've talked about different materials to hand out physically and to what can we do flyer wise or business card wise. I'm not sure we have the budget in for a whole lot of that kind of stuff, but that's something I will definitely go back to staff and see what I can come up with and see if we can get something moving forward. Because I do think in the land of coronavirus, the QR code has made a comeback. So we need to make sure the QR code, if we can use it, let's use it. So let me do a little bit of homework for you, and I'll go back to see what I can find out.
You could have promotional materials like hand sanitizers with a QR code on it.
Some of my, so when I go to conferences, a little off topic, I love getting all the little hand sanitizers. I'm a big clutter guy. I like all the little clutter stuff. So the more stuff, the better, right? Is there anything else anybody else have a question about? Okay, seeing none. The final kind of topic of conversation for tonight for the SAC members is this, the reason for the driving tour. This is something that we were hoping to do in person, and we still may be able to do it in person at a future date as well. But this is something that we can do now virtually to really kind of help guide our conversations as well as the visioning for the plan. Ideally, we're going to be looking at different locations. Each one of us, SAC members and county staff, we'll be looking at different areas of the community, and we're going to be taking pictures or screenshots of Google Street View for a discussion. And I'll talk a little bit more of that in a second. But this is a good opportunity for you all to really kind of show one another your ideas, your opinions, your kind of philosophy towards the region plan throughout this through this process. We will have an opportunity for each SAC member to discuss the pros, cons, and why they chose this area for the driving tour. And these driving tours, next slide, please. These driving tours are we're gonna kind of do a little bit of a park analysis. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of a park analysis, but essentially it's preserve, add, remove, and keep out. So I'm gonna ask each of you to submit at least 4 photos, 1 for each category. And essentially you're gonna take a picture, and it's gonna show for P, for example, you're gonna take a picture of something you like. Why do you like it? What's positive about it? And why should we keep this? Should we continue doing this in other areas of the community? Stuff like that. Add. I'll show you an example of an ad in a moment. But essentially, what's missing in the community? And any of this can be from a type of building to a crosswalk to a stop sign. But ideally, you remember earlier I said kind of think long-term and specific areas. That's the idea we're kind of going here too. These region plans are more of a little bit more of a broad idea than a specific exact parcel of how we want this exact parcel to be developed in the future. So again, the PARK analysis. If there's any questions about this, I will be more than happy. I know this is this may be new to some of you all, so I can help kind of with that, any of that. But if you want to see an example of one. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is one I've done. This is an example of a crosswalk right along Ritchie Highway. And there's actually a bus station here. And if anybody can see the bus station here, more power to you. It's right behind that red truck. There's no crosswalk from this side of the street to that side of the street. So it's not only pedestrian safety issue, but there's no visibility for the bus station. And this is why I put this as an ad, because we need more, in my opinion, infrastructure here to protect pedestrian safety as well as different types of signage. And so when you're doing your PARK analysis, if you want to go back 1 slide, please. This is to kind of do something like this to help guide your pictures. I will be working on creating a slide doc for each of us to upload a photo, or if you are having issues uploading, you can email them to me and I can upload those for you as well. And I will be sending out an email to the SAC members, kind of giving a little more direction and a little more instruction, I should say, about how to get this done. Ideally, if you can take these pictures in person, that'd be great. We all know simply seeing a picture, there's much more to it than a picture. You listening, the smell of the area, even you never know. You never know what's there until you're actually there. So given all that, is there any questions kind of about this right now?
Sounds like fun to me.
Well, that's why we're trying to do this in person, but then the world had different plans for now. So, but again, and maybe in the future, we hopefully can go see these sites in person in maybe a couple months as a group. So, Steve, you had your hand up first.
So Eric, I like this approach, trying to keep it simple, but if I'm actually then trying to walk through this and say, where does all of this fit? There's 6 different areas that we're going to be, addressing in our plan. So if I picked like preserve what is positive and should be kept, should I be then identifying that as either part of the built-up environment or the natural environment, associated with some particular section of the plan?
So that's up to you. If you want to submit a photo for each kind of section, by all means, feel free to do so. But this is just kind of a fun exercise for us to kind of understand and get involved. We're actually going to be doing something very similar for the public through a feedback map, and with our discussion that is going to come from the SAC park analysis, that'll kind of help drive the conversation for when we present the public data to you all. So this is just basically a way to get your brain rolling and really kind of start thinking that. There is no wrong way to do any of this. So if you want to submit multiple photos, by all means. If you want to just submit one, that's fine too. Yeah, did that really answer your question?
Yeah, the other thing is, let's just assume that we went on this driving tour. How long do you think that we would take, to do this? And would there be several of these, to go to each of our different communities?
So yeah, I think if we did the physical driving tour, it would take much longer, obviously, because we have to go from point to point. I don't know how, I don't have an exact time frame that would take, but ideally it would take maybe a Saturday afternoon or something. Given that we're doing it virtually, we may be able to do it all within a 2-hour meeting, like a normal SAC meeting. So I think there are some pros and cons to having it virtual, and one of those may be the time issue as well, and the time commitment from you all. So we're hopeful that we can go through this virtual driving tour in one 2-hour meeting, similar to tonight.
I have to tell you, I'm confused, Eric. When you're talking about the virtual driving tour, how does that relate to our photographs?
So you're going to submit photos
of my region, of where I live, or the whole region, or.
So if there's things in your region that you see that you really like, that you want to preserve and you want more of, you're going to take a picture. You can take a picture of that and submit it, and that'll be your P, the preserve. And then you're going to do one for A, and then one for R, and then one for K. And then with that, we're going to do a slideshow, and we're each going to kind of describe each point that we submitted. So it can be down the street from you. It can be in the complete opposite end of the region. It's whatever you like.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see what we all come up with. I mean, I think that will give sort of a Rorschach of where what we like, what we don't like, what we may want to improve, something like that.
Holly?
Yeah, since we're kind of getting our brain rolling here on this, would it be okay to kind of do just a little bit of outreach on this and kind of see what other people think and all that stuff while we're doing this homework.
Absolutely. If you want to talk to your neighbors, your friends, whoever, get their ideas, and maybe even if they tell you where to go and you want to take that picture, absolutely do that. But they are going to have their opportunity to do something very similar as well. So don't. I hope no one thinks that this is just an SAC only thing. This is for anybody and everybody in the future. The presentation that we will discuss will only be the SAC photos, but the future data that we will, county staff will show the SAC will include different points that the members of the public will show on a map.
Eric, quick question. This is Bo. If we've already worked with, say, some of our groups that we have and had a discussion on it, already identified 20 or 30 different spaces within, say, a region or part of the region, the Broadneck area or whatever, is this something where we're only getting to submit 4 each? Like, do we go back to that group and tell them to submit it from a public standpoint so it can be included? If we're representing a group that has 20 concerns, representing everybody, but representing a group that's one of the key groups that we're going to discuss with, if they have 20 plus, is that something where they're going to have each member submit it then?
Good question. So basically the submitting 1 for each category is just for the SAC for a time constraint. Like this is something that will help to guide our discussion for the future. The public, we will create a feedback map for them, and it hopefully will be simple. And I have a slide in a minute that kind of shows the idea of what we're kind of aiming to create. And it's relatively simple. They're going to be able to drop a point and leave a comment. So to answer your question, they will have to, if they want to be heard, they're going to have to be part of that feedback map. They're going to have to go in and put a point on that map and leave a comment.
And then next question or follow-up question to that is, where I live, or where the Broadneck Peninsula meets Route 50, is a state highway, and it's mostly state roads versus county roads. Can we include those things or not in that process? I see that you did Ritchie Highway. That's Route 2 crossing it, wherever maybe a county road crosses. But if it's all state related, is that relevant to this discussion? I think Lisa has a question in the chat room too about the Bay Bridge plans and things like that, which is obviously a hot topic on the Broadneck area. I'm just wondering, how far you're going to go with that.
Great question. As we all know, Ritchie Highway is a major focal point too, and the bridge. You can submit anything you like, but as you know, the county, we have to work with the state for state roads and state infrastructure. So we can provide in the region plan, we can provide recommendations and maybe different ideas to work on different state roads, but there's no guarantee that anything will kind of be worked on upon that. If we can keep it the county and more local jurisdiction, that would be ideal. But for the sake of this, I think anything to kind of get conversation going is the point of this.
Okay. We'll have to figure it out. Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, if we want to go a couple slides. One more. Perfect. So to kind of start slowly wrapping this up, just remember, please share this information with your community, with any organization you're a part of. It's for them. Share the website, share this meeting when this gets loaded up on the website, and really just make sure they're involved. Ask them questions, have them talk with one another, have them talk with you, have them talk with me. We're here for the community. We need their ideas, their opinions, anything we can do to really reach out and to really make them as part of this process.
It seems like, Eric, that it's would be a good exercise for community associations and environmental groups and other business groups that challenge their members. Go out and do a park analysis so we can discuss it, as a community asset, or group. So
Absolutely. And hopefully these conversations will kind of provoke that thought and those ideas within those organizations. So those organizations can come to these meetings and have the discussion with us. Steve?
Yeah, Eric, I just tried it again, but if you do that survey that's on the hub, at least for Region 4, the text box only allows 255 characters. And that's for both of those text boxes. That really limits any real significant input on what are two pretty substantial questions. And also, you know, right now at least, I can keep entering as many surveys as I want to. There's nothing that distinguishes me, you know, when I enter that would prevent me again from entering more inputs. I don't know if that's intentional or it's something that you want to take a look at and restrict the number of times somebody can make an input.
No, thank you for bringing that up. That's actually something we as staff have been kind of working on, at least the multiple survey portion. We're trying to figure out if there's different alternatives to that, because that has been brought to our attention. The text box limit, that's new to me, so I will be sure to bring that up to staff tomorrow.
Good feedback. Good feedback.
All right. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Slides do we have? I'm just trying to look at the time and.
No worries. We have about 4 more slides.
Okay.
So yeah, again, just a quick overview of the SAC roles and responsibilities. We're here to help answer the question of what land use issues are community members concerned about, and what's the vision for the future. And each of these this is very vital for the success of the Region 4, and to really make sure we produce a well-written and a very important document for the future. So I would highly recommend to look over each of these points, look over the handbook if you haven't, and be sure to read the charter. I know there's a lot of information that we've given you, but it's all very important moving forward to really make sure we're all on the same page. So yeah, just kind of a little bit more of a wrap up. Please complete your trainings and submit your certificates, your bios, ASAP. February 7th. I'm gonna start calling people. So you don't. I might be a little annoying come February 8th. So please have it done by February 7th. Upload it. And if you have any problems doing so, email me. I'll see what I can do to help you. And we'll go from there. Reach out to your community. Let them know about this meeting. Let them know about the next meeting, which I will have scheduled hopefully by the end of this week. And we can go from there. And provide your tour locations. If you have issues with any of that stuff, please let me know. I will be working on creating a slide PowerPoint type document for us to upload each individually. But again, if you have issues, please contact me. And most importantly, again, submit and sign your charter if you have not done so already. And again, please do so by February 7th. So in the future, from a county staff point of view, be on the lookout for these couple things. In the next month or so, we are going to be creating a public outreach feedback map. This may or may not be done by our next meeting. I'm hopeful that it is, but we had initially planned for March, I believe. So, but it will be done, and we will be able to share with the public. And then this is where I was talking about with Bo a minute ago. Members of the public can drop a point, leave a comment. If you participated in the green infrastructure feedback process, this is exactly what you did. So we had a lot of comments. So we're hoping to replicate that again and use this moving forward for Region 4 and other regions and other specific aspects of Region 4. Our next meeting date will likely be either the week of the February 14th or the 21st. I'm going to go back and see how everyone answers the Google form. Please answer the Google form ASAP. And don't worry, I will not be your Valentine's Day date. We can have a meeting not on that Monday. I'll let you guys enjoy it with you and your family. Please also have people input their data on the survey on the Region 4 Hub site, please direct them to the Hub site. And again, I will confirm our meeting date for the virtual driving tour. And then we will continue with a public visioning session in the next month or a couple months. And then next slide, please. And if there's any other questions from the public or SAC, please let me know. Here is the planning and zoning email address for everyone. My email address was on the beginning of this presentation. We have our chair and vice chair email address as well. And that is our first SAC meeting. If there are no questions, so are there any questions from the SAC before I give it back to Anne? All right, Anne, seeing none, if you want to open it up for
yeah, I would definitely like to give some priority to the people who haven't had a chance to speak. So, and then if there's time for the membership of this group to speak as well. But if we could start with the folks who've been watching us, and let's see, it's 7:25. How about we do 20 minutes? Can we do that? And then if we don't need all the 20 minutes, we won't do it. So Eric, how does the public, do they just speak up, right? Like if Pat Lynch wants to talk?
Yeah, if they want to raise their hand, either virtually or physically, we can kind of call on them.
Okay.
And I may miss some people, so if people want to help me out, because I only see about 20 on my screen at one time. So.
I don't see one hand. I don't know if we've worn people out.
I know it's been a lot of information, so thank you all for sticking with me tonight. And I think the next few meetings are going to go a little bit more smoothly with good qualitative data. So
looks like Pat wants to speak.
Yeah, Pat.
Pat, can't hear you. She's doing hand signals. I don't know what she's doing. Can't hear. Can't hear. Oh, maybe she can't hear us.
You gotta unmute yourself.
Are you muted?
Oh, I couldn't unmute the normal way by clicking on the red sign. So somebody sent me a note. Yeah, I have a question and a point. I just submitted a question to you all, and I'm very concerned. The Region 4 there are two major issues that we all have in this region, and one is the environment and one is transportation. And I've been going through reams of documents over the last couple of weeks looking at all the background information relative to this region that has been compiled by various organizations in the county, et cetera. Transportation, the environment includes everything from forest to watershed to stormwater, everything that affects the protection of our trees, our forests, our watershed. What value or what strength will be input from those of us who are not officially on your team? In other words, I didn't think that we were going to be able to speak tonight at this meeting, and I had trouble getting in. That's why I was late. I had to update all my software to get into it. But are we able to speak and exchange information? And secondly, MDTA and MDOT own transportation for this whole sector. And
I just want to say, anybody that's not muted, because we're hearing a little feedback. So if you're not speaking, maybe just mute, but remember, if you want to speak, you're going to have to go back and unmute. Okay, thanks, Pat.
I'm on mute. I'm unmuted.
I know.
No, she has, Pat, I think you might have sound on your end and where you are. So that's what Anne is mentioning.
Oh, okay. All right. Just read my note, my message to you all on MDTA, and then I'll sign off.
I think what Eric told me was they hadn't prepared to have public testimony or public parts, but at the meeting that they had yesterday with Region 2, I think it was, that was added. And I think it's a very important part to get the people who aren't sitting around as the SAC members, but the public to be interested in this. And if they can't ever speak, I don't think we're getting much two-way communication. So I think what we're going to do is try to have the public speak significantly at every meeting we can. So
Thank you.
anyone else? I don't see any hands, but if anybody else sees a hand, because I don't know that we have the whole group.
Is that something we get to decide as a group?
What's that?
Sometimes there's working sessions and time that we all are dedicating. We don't necessarily have potentially
you're
20
right.
or 30 extra minutes.
I think you're
So,
right. I think it's more of a goal, and we can talk about that. in the next
Okay,
meeting.
I just want to make sure it's not being made without a group consensus.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I think the work of the committee, but if we don't get good feedback, I'm sort of trying to emphasize that, but we'd have to also do our work. Anyone else want to share anything?
Lisa.
Hey,
Me.
Lisa?
I am also just an observer, not a member of the CAC. If we collect, is there somebody we can report to, or that maybe would have more ability to correspond with the group and with the county? Does that make sense?
I'm not sure I understand who would report to whom. What?
Myself, I'm not a member of the CAC. I came on to as a public observer. But if I go and do some of these exercises, am I able to do the training? One. And then if I go and do photos or of what I think is good, what I think is bad, is there somebody I should give that information to that is on the CAC?
Well, first of all, I think you got to get, this is an SAC. I know that.
SAC, I'm sorry.
Confusing, but I think probably, Eric, is it just for the SAC members to begin this process, and then we'll see, there's going to be a public process after that?
So yeah, the visual driving tour with the photos and everything, that's designed for the SAC members, for your discussion for the SAC work session. Bo mentioned a minute ago the time constraint with just work sessions. Sometimes it's work session with an open meeting. That's something that can definitely be discussed. But given the driving tour, that's for the SAC members. The members of the public will have their own opportunity to do something very, very similar in the next month or so with the feedback map, and that feedback map will be on the hub site. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Well, I would just like to say it seems like we're going to be needing a motion to adjourn soon, but I'm so happy that people came. I'm looking forward to getting to know a lot of these members that I've never seen before. A few of you I know, and I think this is an exciting time and an adventure we're going on. So glad to see you, and I hope to get to know you all better. That's all I have, Eric, except we do need a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
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 Okay, aye. All opposed? Well, we reached a consensus. Okay, so again, thanks, and we'll be having another meeting in 3 to 4 weeks. Is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be sure to send the date out by the end of this week.
Okay. Well, thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.